Improvisation, the most widely practiced of all musical activities, is probably the least recognized or understood. Vague descriptions like making it up as you go along or playing off the top of your head give no idea of the pervasiveness and the power of improvisation in music. Perhaps the air of mystery that surrounds it is inevitable. Improvisation is to do with change, adjustment, development, elusive ideas. It isn't any one style of music. It doesn't belong to East or to West. But it is the creative force in these and many other musics. It's present everywhere, in the most complex musical designs and in the earliest attempts at music making. The Indian city of New Delhi, like most other urban centres, attracts a kaleidoscope of migrant people, all loaded with cultural baggage, including their music. The sacred shrine of Nizamuddin has served as one focal point for Sufis escaping religious intolerance. Since the 13th century, their music has been banned by the Islamic rulers of their homeland, Iran. Through constant migrations, some Sufis found a haven in North India. The shrine also serves as a place of public congregation where accounts are kept and food is distributed to the needy. The sacred music of the Sufis is called Qawwali. It is central to their ways of life and worship.
Qawwali का लफ्ज़ जो है वो कौल से निकला है. कौल के मानी है किसी सेंट की सेइंग, किसी बुजुर्ग का शब्द. उस शब्द को, उस कौल को म्यूज़िक में जब पेश किया जाता है तो कव्वाली होती है. कव्वाली के साथ एक चीज़ और ज़रूरी है कि खाली एक गाने वाला और एक कौल को पेश करने वाला ही नहीं होता, बल्कि सुनने वाला भी होता है.
The Qawwali group improvises variations, often for hours on end over a single line of sacred text. This induces an emotional state that is believed to put the listener in touch with the divine. It is a role that music offers in many other religions. Sufis say the time must be right, the place must be right, and the listeners must be right. Sufis settled around this shrine because they found a tolerance among the Hindu people towards their faith and its spontaneous expression through music. Hindu music, however, comes from different backgrounds, like the palaces of Rajasthan, where it evolved as high-class entertainment for local Maharajas. Born of a family that boasts 5 generations of singers and instrumentalists, Ram Narayan is one of India's foremost musicians. He was born in Udaipur and, as a child prodigy, played regularly in the palaces of the Maharaja.
वही मेन अब फास्ट हो गई है, दुरुस्त ले में हो गई तो वो गा दे मा गा
Once a year, Ram Narayan is joined by his son and daughter. Though they are both established concert performers, they enjoy a special relationship with their father, who is also their teacher or guru. The teaching method is the usual one for a largely improvised music: imitation, repetition, exploration.
इम्प्रोवाइजेशन की आजकल बहुत लोग बात करते हैं। इसमें 2 बातें हैं कि इम्प्रोवाइजेशन 200% भी हो सकती है। जो हम सीखते हैं अपने गुरु से, तो गुरु तो हमें एक शरीर देता है, एक बॉडी मिलती है, उसमें आत्मा का प्रवेश करना ये परफॉर्मर का काम होता है। तो हर एक आर्टिस्ट इम्प्रोवाइजेशन तो करना ही पड़ता है उसको, लेकिन उसको उस हिसाब से नहीं करना चाहिए जिससे कि कुछ राग को हानि हो जाए। लेकिन फिर भी उसकी जो आत्मा है राग की, वो तो आर्टिस्ट परफॉर्मर ही लाता है, उसको उसी पे ज़्यादा काम करना पड़ता है। उसको इम्प्रोवाइजेशन समझिए। इम्प्रोवाइजेशन ये फ्री इम्प्रोवाइजेशन तो नहीं है, लेकिन फिर भी राग की पर्सनैलिटी 10 आदमी गाते हैं, 10 की अलग अलग अप्रोच होती है टूवर्ड्स राग। तो ये जो है जिसको पकड़ भी कहते हैं, उसको ध्यान में रख के फिर ताने बजाने चाहिए। बजाओ।
As the lesson proceeds, son and daughter are allowed more freedom to improvise. The sarangi was originally an instrument that accompanied folk singing, but Ram Narayan and his father transformed it. They changed bowing and fingering techniques to give the sarangi a new status as a featured instrument in the classical Hindustan repertoire. This offered new possibilities for self-expression. Whereas classical music in the West must not stray from the written text, here a performer is most valued for his ability to improvise. Before it was developed by Ram Narayan's family in Udaipur, the sarangi was a folk instrument played by travelling musicians in the desert regions of Rajasthan. At country fairs like the one in Pushkar, itinerant performers gathered to sell their wares. Folk and tribal performers who visit these fairs bring with them a music that is full of invention and variation. As this music migrated north into Iran and through the Arab lands, it evolved in many different forms, adapting to and influencing each music it encountered. The music crossed North Africa and entered Spain. In Andalusia, there was a mixing of Moorish and Christian influences. This ensured that invention was still a basic part of music making. Early medieval music is today enjoying a revival, and symphony is a group dedicated to recapturing some of the music's spontaneity. Stevie Wishart studied the sarangi in Rajasthan and uses the same tuning on her fiddle. In the music of the early medieval period, improvisation was mostly instrumental, decorating the vocal line. Like the Moorish themes that decorate the palaces of the Alhambra in Granada. Even within the formal setting of a Moorish palace, improvisation survives through a practice which is largely oral.
The oral tradition, I think, was very important in the troubadour music that we're performing, because music was indeed written down. That, of course, is how we know of its existence. But it wasn't written down in order to play. It was just written down for posterity, as it were. And we're pretty certain that the music, and possibly even the texts as well, were semi-improvised and certainly taught through an oral tradition.
You know, there is a Moroccan proverb which is Msawiya, Mshaliya, Had al-Khadma, which means first you tune the instrument, then you tune the musician while improvising a kind of prelude, and afterwards it's perhaps the greatest is to accompany the voice, because the first instrument is not the fiddle, is not the lute, it's the voice, you know, in the oral tradition. And the other idea is to decorate the song she's singing. She's going to reach a certain note, and I'm waiting for her at that note and making some design around this point, you know.
Well, we know that in the treatises that were written at the time, they talk about rhythmic modes, and those rhythmic modes, like in the pieces that we've been playing, might be something as simple as... And you soon realise that there are lots of things you can do on the instrument. And I think anyone with any imagination would have found variation. So with the rhythmic mode, you can develop the rhythmic mode to be something a lot more elaborate and a lot more improvisatory.
In contrast to the courtly setting of the troubadour music, the caves facing the Alhambra have offered a home to Romany gypsies since they first migrated here in the 15th century. Their music mixed Moorish with Andalusian to become flamenco. Many of Spain's flamenco performers grew up in the Sacromonte, and when they found success, moved on. In the Andalusian city of Seville, a group of gypsy dancers and musicians have been brought together by one of Spain's outstanding dancers, Mario Maya, who grew up in the caves of the Sacromonte. The Soleá is a dance that developed in the gypsy suburb of Seville. Its lifeblood is its spontaneity and invention.
Es como si le preguntas a un músico sobre una medida, él conoce perfectamente la música, entonces las escalas determinadas las improvisa él. El ritmo existe. Es muy difícil clarificar bien en una conversación y sobre todo en un corto espacio qué es la improvisación. Yo pienso que la improvisación es conocer perfectamente los ritmos, conocer en este caso el flamenco, y sobre esa música flamenca uno tiene el dominio de ese ritmo y sobre ello improvisa. La improvisación es muy difícil de explicar. Es como el duende. ¿Qué es el duende? Pues es un estado de ánimo determinado. O sea, la improvisación es el alma de la persona, simplemente lo que oye y lo que puede hacer en ese momento. Claro, para eso hay que tener una técnica superada. Yo creo que el flamenco se ha creado y se ha criado en Andalucía. Lo que hayamos aportado los gitanos es una forma de sentir y de ser, pero andaluces. Los gitanos de otros países, digamos de Hungría, Checoslovaquia, Rumanía, no hacen flamenco, hacen otro tipo de música que ellos imprimen de una forma especial, pero el baile flamenco es andaluz 100%. Ahora, la influencia que nosotros traigamos inconscientemente puede que tenga una reminiscencia antigua de la India, porque nosotros emigramos hace muchísimo tiempo, creo que vivimos ya 5 siglos en Andalucía. Quiere decir que es posible que tenga unas connotaciones hindúes, digamos, de las manos, ¿no? De la forma de poner las manos, y también de los sonidos, de los pitos, la profundidad de los zapateados hincados en la tierra, siempre hacia adentro, igual que el katak, y que hacen contratiempos o contrapuntos, siempre improvisando sobre una música y haciendo ¿cómo se llamaría? Los compases a contratiempo.
Though flamenco may derive from katak, its social context, the caves and camps of a persecuted people, is quite different from the high art status that katak still enjoys in its homeland. Katak, itself derived from folk dance, is now a combination of mime and movement, where improvisations develop within a complex rhythmic pattern. Katak is taught to aspiring students by Birju Maharaj, acknowledged as the finest Katak dancer in India today. His family developed it from storytelling into stylized classical dance. Birju Maharaj improvises over rhythmic patterns whose similarity to flamenco are close enough for him to have danced with Mario Maya in earlier days.
अलग अलग मूड्स की तिहाई अलग अलग डिफरेंट जैसे कि हमारे एक आया कि हमने बताया था कि एक तिहाई जिसमें जैसे डियर ये काऊ है काऊ धीरे से चलता है 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 द डियर 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 द डियर 5 6 7 और लाइन का होता है 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 तो 5 5 6 7 5 6 7 5 6 7 तो डिफरेंट मूड्स आते हैं रिदम में भी ऐसा ज़रूरी नहीं है कि वहाँ पर सॉन्ग हो ऐसा ज़रूरी नहीं है धाए गहो शाम धाए गहो धाए गो
Improvising within the rhythmic patterns of the music, Birju Maharaj mimes the part of a female lover of Lord Krishna, a central character in Indian mythology.
मूड अलग है धाय गहो उसका नाखून लग जाता है ए धाय गहो शाम धाय गहो शाम धाय गहो शाम धाय अब नखरा है उसका माने है कि गहो श्याम धाय 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 गहो धाय अलग अलग मूड है चूड़िया कर लागी बताओ कर चूड़िया कर लागी कर धाय गहो श्याम धाय गहो श्याम धाय गहो श्याम धाय गहो
Though modern masters of Kathak make little reference these days to its humble folk origins, early forms of this dance have been carried out of India by itinerant gypsy performers on their many migrations. They crossed Europe and North Africa on the same trade routes as the medieval music we traced earlier. Gypsies can still be found in many places on that route. In Egypt, from whose name the word gypsy derives, they are known as Khawazi, invaders of the heart. These migrations symbolize the story of all performing music, which must continuously adapt through improvisation if it is to survive. So every dance has evolved a style to suit a place and time, like gypsy flamenco, which flourishes still in Andalusia. It's not some fossilized art form, but the living expression of the Spanish Romani people.
Bueno, mi historia es como la de cualquier otro niño gitano, en el cual nacemos en el seno de una familia gitana, en el cual toda la cultura de los padres, los abuelos, se aporta cuando tú eres pequeño. Todas tus vivencias transcurren alrededor de ese movimiento cultural.
Mario Maya performs a bulerías, one of the most popular and heavily improvised gypsy dances, in a style very much his own. One musical journey found a point of rest in flamenco. From another journey came an urban folk music of Latin migrants to the New World. Salsa mixes Spanish dance with the rhythms of Cuba and Puerto Rico. Eddie Palmieri is a legendary figure of Latin music.
The word rumba was brought by the rumba flamenco that they have in Spain. And Spain being the country that brought superimposed not only their language, but everything they believed to the black African that was brought over by force to the island of Cuba in particular. The word rumba became like the mother of the wonderful rhythmical scales that exist in Cuba and that fed us throughout the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. And Cuba was feeding us in New York.
Rehearsal in a midtown Manhattan club is confined to basics. The essentials are saved for later, when Eddie Palmieri will lead his band throughout the show from the keyboard.
The percussion type approach to my playing has to do with my influence of being a frustrated drummer. Little by little, I saw myself being brought back to the piano. The percussive instrument that it is. Once those hammers hit the strings, then it's a percussive instrument. I utilize that in quite a unique way to excite the rhythm section also in my playing. I utilize it in my free form of when I play a variation of a theme.
Eddie Palmieri's piano variations will be a high point of an evening's dancing to a salsa band whose rhythms are based on the distinctive clave, which is laid down by the percussion section. Bandleader, arranger and composer, Eddie Palmieri is best known to his Latin audience as one of salsa's great improvisers.
Esa clave que pasa. Ta 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 es la cosa.
kind of no tomorrow energy, fueled by the musicians reveling in their own inventiveness.
Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.
Next week, how improvisation liberates the musician and facilitates creativity. That's next Sunday on 4 at 8:30.